YouTubers out here in some hidden woods of Burlington, Mass on this stunning May weekend. I'm sure you're all looking at my bodily status, but I'll have your attention turned to these. We're going to finally talk about it. I think some people have been waiting for this. Arguably my favorite all-terrain tire for my needs, the Yokohama Geolandar AT XDs. So let me just dive into it. Why did I choose these? What was the competition? What really stands out about these? So let's actually just start with talking about the tread here. So AT, right? AT XD, you'll see the letters here. This is not really an all-terrain tire. What Yokohama was trying to market with this several years ago, in 23, about this time they came out with it. It was all-terrain extreme duty, XD. That's what that's all behind. But this is a very super aggressive. This is about as aggressive as you'll ever see a quote-unquote labeled AT tire. This is really a rugged terrain tread pattern, or at bare minimum a hybrid all-terrain. So what's special about this though? Why did I go with it? Well, one, Yokohama. Can't beat that name. A lot of people, if we were in Colorado instead and four-wheeling was more of a thing, they just know that name. Not these people here with their... We were in here like an hour ago and there was a guy in his Ford that came down here. See the water hole down there? He probably doesn't have these tires, but we were hiking in there. We went through there, we were hiking, and we saw him turn around like a scaredy cat in his F-150, I believe. That was pretty hilarious. So, I digress. This tire, you can see the side biters here. This is not as crazy as something like the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss AT, which some people might be thinking of. These side biters, but pretty good for airing down. I'm not aired down right now. These are street pressures, but see down here, you gotta look closely. There's something hiding here. Hold on. This here, Three Peak Mountain Snowflake. Probably surprised to see that, right? Huh? So this tire is marketed and supposedly engineered for heavier duty, like a 2500, maybe even 3500, etc. So you're like, huh, that's something. But this is a 1500 here. We got, like, you know, 2011 Nissan Titan, half ton. But you can put them on this and you'll get probably a better tread life. I don't change the street pressures from the door sticker really. I actually went on TireSize.com wondering, because this is a 295 7018. When I bought this truck through Facebook Marketplace, the tires that were on it, these decent, although they get a bad rap, Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs, standing for max tractions, were on it. These are the stock 275 70 R18. This is like a 30, a little over 33. This here, up on the rock, these AT XDs are a 34.3, although actually you could almost call it a 34.5, and this is why. They've been on for about 5K, I think, these tires. I'm going to show you this tread on these outer blocks. So we've gone down to 19. We started at 20. So now at 19, you can barely tell any difference, but these start at 20. What other tire are you going to find in this segment at 20, 30 seconds? Now, you know, if you get crazy like that, that's almost approaching semi-truck territory. You're not even going to find that in Falcon Wild Peaks or some designated rugged terrain labeled tires. You can get a little tread squirm, etc., but that is pretty monstrous. Yet, like I said, we got Three Peak Mountain Snowflake due to, if you want to zoom in, Zach, these sipes here, and of course an excellent compound by the Yokohama engineers. So is that what's so special about this tire? The fact that you can have a tire here with these aggressive lugs, pretty good spacing here with the AT XDs. I can stick my pinky in more. The mud on these is fantastic, as I expected. That was one of the things in my research. This is probably the closest thing, and I know Outdoor Adventure in his video a couple of years ago, he raved about the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss AT, saying, this is the closest thing I've ever seen to a mud terrain tire that still somehow is a Three Peak Mountain Snowflake, etc. This thing beats that sucker. I love Mickey Thompson. That was second on my list, Baja Boss ATs, but look at this thing. Look at these. Just look at this tread here. Can't get over this. That was deeply in the research. The side biters, yeah, they're not on Mickey Thompson's design level. Plenty of sidewall. I have not aired these down yet. I could easily if I need to. But next up, how did they do in the snow and ice? So like telling me legit 3-peak rated? Because there are some tires in this segment of more aggressive ATs that have the 3-peak mountain severe winter snow service rating, but Outdoor Adventure Nate on his channel, rightfully so, did a good little exposure video on how some companies cheated. The testing is just like straightforward back and forth acceleration and braking. It's not really turning and everything. You could call it some flaws out there. So for real world purposes, that blizzard for those around Boston, etc., especially southeastern New England, that nor'easter blizzard, it was honestly historic that we had that day in February. It was late February. I was out from beginning to end in these on parking lots and streets and everything in the middle of a, like I said, historic blizzard, icy. That was not just pure snow you were driving, it was a road completely sheeted in ice with the slick snow on top. I had zero problems with these. I didn't air them down. I didn't need to use 4 low, although that's more for, you know, these kind of conditions. I just kept it in 4 high. At the beginning, actually, the storm, when I was going down the highway to Plymouth, I was in 2-wheel drive at about 50 miles an hour with no slipping at all. Then off the highway going towards the south shore of Mass, just regular roads, I had zero slickness, anything, just unbeatable. From a tire this aggressive, was it confidence inspiring traction like a dedicated winter tire? Of course not. You're just not going to get that. It's not scientifically possible here. But the rage of this tire is, how do you get a tire this aggressive in the genuine rugged terrain tread pattern? Honestly, in my opinion, a little more aggressive than the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs to perform like that. I just had to use my driver's IQ, my experience, and not an ounce of trouble. While everybody else, like if you got out of the truck, which I did a couple times in the middle of the storm, you were slipping right on your feet. It was like black ice. So props to Yokohama. That was deeply in the research. This tire is highly overlooked. Not a lot of people have got reviews on TireRack.com or anything. I kind of just went with it, but also there's a good number of here and there, hit or miss cases of trouble with people balancing the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs when they get mounted and put on, or going out of balance later in life. I've not seen that with the quality Yokohama name, nothing against Mickey Thompson, but you get that benefit with these, and they're about, I could pull out my phone and see exactly, but they're about anywhere from $70 to $100 less a tire with their lack of relative popularity. So that was a big factor for me there, especially in the 295/70 R18 sizes. Road noise, let's talk about that. That has been a relatively controversial thing if you really search in close with these tires. Some people are saying, oh, because like the way these tread blocks, if you zoom in, Zach, are straight here, they're not angled to do like variable pitch sequencing. There's a lot of some people have been saying, man, these are loud, etc. Louder than almost any other all-terrain I've ever had, and louder than rugged terrains, almost like borderline mild mud, etc. And you see here, there's a little bit back and forth here, but this tire really isn't built with, like I said, variable tread pitch sequencing in mind, and some of those other technologies. This tire is not asymmetrical like the Mickey Thompson. It is just symmetrically designed as a workhorse to get it done, to go right through that baby back there. Sometimes I'll put it in 4 low, but when it's a little drier like this, we haven't had a ton of rain, I just have 4 high, street pressures, right through it with no problem. This is a workhorse right here, and you're not in your right mind expecting this to be a quiet tire. Like, honest to God, you've got the wrong tire. But personally for me, yeah, I do have an MBRP catback exhaust on the latter end of this truck with the 5.6 VK56, but while that is doing some drone noise, etc., when I'm on the highway, when I put these on and to now, they've not been noisy. Like, I'm listening very closely, trying to distinguish out
cruise control, 60
exhaust noise, and I don't have a hum, slap, slap, slap from these tires on the highway. I just don't. Other people have, like, what's his name, the Ford Low channel, he found they started cupping, which an aggressive tire like this can be prone to. That's often due to worn suspension. Actually, before I put on these Bilstein 5100s, some old cheap shocks that the prior owner selling it to me had put on, wore out. One of them even blew a bad bushing, and these were severely cupped. Not this one, the front ones. This was on the back. That'll create noise. He was like saying, oh my gosh, these are so noisy, holy cow, etc. not in my house. I can't speak for others, but there's been a good, and I mean a good number of reviews also saying these aren't too noisy. There was a guy on YouTube the other week who did a video and said it's just a little mini hum, just like me. Nothing bothersome about these tires, which is pretty impressive as well. The fact that they didn't even angle the tread blocks or anything. So props to Yokohama. I think some of that whole controversy and everything is relatively coming from like people who had a mild Falcon Wild Peak AT3 or something, and they're going to this and they're not used to that, or in like a lighter duty, something like a mid-size truck when these are obviously heavier duty. I don't know where it comes from, but I've had not a slightest hint to that. There's no cupping and feathering either. New suspension on this, good alignment, new control arms, etc. And these tires, like Mickey Thompson does the advertising with, you know, the Power Ply XD. These are heavy duty. I'm going on a rock here. This rock isn't sharp by any means, but I'm no way hesitant at all without my spare tire carrier, because it rusted out a year ago, going into the woods with these on anything. They're obviously 3-ply heavy duty, probably just about as tough, if not tougher, than the Mickey Thompsons, but we'll get out some comparison tires in a second. Speaking of comparison, we'll lead into this tire is rated 3-peak mountain snow, like the severe winter rating, which was legit with these. I found to be every single size has it, the rating. So even the LTs, etc. Let's show some comparisons here. As for like not choosing the Baja Boss ATs over this, honest to God, I mean, not having the balance issues that some were having with that and still report to this day, $80 less a tire and lighter. These are like, I have to go back and look up the specs. These are like, I think 5 pounds lighter a tire. So again, yeah, if you buy this tire, you're not expecting fuel economy. You're going to take a drop in fuel economy, but you better be going into legit actual four-wheel in places if you want to put on these tires other than just for show. This is not for you. Let's talk about some comparisons here. I'm going to pull out my phone. I loaded these last night. So one of the ones I definitely think of is, oh, the Cooper Discover Rugged Trek. That's a great one, kind of similar to this, about as aggressive. That would be like a tire that you would aim for, Nish, with mud capability and winter rating. That is true. There's a lack of cell service here. However, they don't make this in a 295/70 R18. They do make a 285/75 R18, the Cooper Discover Rugged Trek, this one here on the left, but it's not 3-peak rated in all the sizes, only the passenger sizes, not the light truck, heavier duty sizes. So out the door with that. Maybe one day I'll switch to a little taller, slightly more pizza cutter, 285/75. We'll see. Next up, Radar Renegade. That guy, I forget his name, in Florida, he warns about going with radars. He finds a lack of quality with balancing and everything. But if you want to do the Radar Renegade RT Plus, fine, that does have the severe snow rating. But if I could load this picture, or now not here, I'm closer in, I don't see this with the right siping. The compound I can't speak for, but the right siping that this does to have that bite and grip in genuine slick conditions, like I just wouldn't trust this tire. I'm sorry. It's got the aggression, if not a hair more aggression, but I just don't think I could do that. I believe that to be because Nathan exposed it on his video of 3-peak mountain snowflakes. Some companies were caught cheating, so I can't speak about that. And I don't think I could find these in a 295/70 R18 either. So there goes that out the window. Just, I don't know, some companies just don't seem to care about that size. I don't know why. Next thing, a Canati Trailhog. This almost looks like a Duratrack, which I'll talk about in a second. This tread pattern, the original Duratrack, has a good amount of siping in it. I could definitely give that a try, but some people said they were impressed, although that they had poor wet traction with them. The wet traction on these has been fairly solid. They're not phenomenal, but regular good driving, not an ounce of slippage. Canatis, I don't know if I could find them in that 295/70 18, but these Canatis here do 3-ply sidewall, so that's one of my check marks. Blackhawk Ridge Crawler RT, that does have a 3-ply sidewall, right? This here is the Blackhawk Ridge Crawler RT, which they designate with the severe winter rating. But look, there's no siping in this thing. Look at that. No lack of biting edges, etc. I don't really have the faith in this either. Had I known at the time, I wouldn't have chosen it. How this is severe winter rated? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a clown. Maybe this thing excellent in a storm like I was in. I wouldn't believe it to be. Just look at this. This is going to tell you everything you need. Here are all these sipes. And I think these mostly are full depth, not the outer ones, but the inner ones, which is actually a ridge here. It goes down like 3/32 of tread depth in the middle here. These are all connected to minimize tread squirm, improve handling. Next tire, Milestar Patagonia XT. I think this was the tire that For Low, his channel, had tried out, and it had like a sidewall bubble defect from the factory that he found. So he switched to these AT XDs, but this does have a 3-ply sidewall, the Milestar Patagonia. And you go on their website, they're pretty passionate about saying how it's designated rugged terrain, etc. Well, XT and that aggression. However, again, I look at the tread pattern. It looks almost like a modified ridge grappler, which is one tire people might be wondering, oh, why didn't you go with the popular ridge grapplers? They're too bad in the wet from reviews. Well, no, decent in the wet, but poor in the snow. They don't have any of that technology in them. So here, there's a picture of the Milestar Patagonia XT. Where's the siping? Where's the biting edges? I mean, compound, I can't speak for. Is that gonna do as well as these? I doubt it. So a lot of people, like with the Baja Boss ATs, they're raving like they're so good in the snow. As how they still decent in the mud? Probably a smidge behind this tire, like I explained. Well, that's the revolution. That is what's so impressive, and that's why I landed on these for, like I said, notably less per tire, better balance and quality, and lighter weight, fuel economy. Why not? So that's about all the comparisons I got here. So here, let's just look at this. I got these for $339, the Yokohamas. Here's the Baja Boss AT, $295, 70/18, and $409, 410. So I think I've said all I have to say. Maybe I'll do a video on the highway so you hear the noise, although you're gonna hear mostly the exhaust, honest to God, but I cannot be disappointed in the slightest with these Yokohamas. I have not rebalanced them either, staying all good and smooth. They do ride a hair stiffer than these, which is a 2-ply. That's very hard to distinguish because when I put these on, it got the upgraded Rough Country 4-inch lift and the Bilstein 5100s and new control arms and everything. So I can't really distinguish ride comfort too well, but they are not like a slam bam pain or anything. They're actually fairly decent at soaking up. So I think I covered about all facets and why I chose this in terms of something that is going to be relatively affordable, but yet a name quality, well-known brand, and semi-excellent in the mud, yet semi-excellent for genuine, severe, slick winter conditions and an excellent tread life. You can't go wrong with these. That's why they're a hidden gem in my opinion. I don't know why people aren't catching on to them more. So that's it.